أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Lesson number 227, Surah Saba, ayah number 15 to 30. لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ. There was for the people of Saba in their dwelling place a sign. The people of Saba, who were they? A very prosperous nation. I mentioned to you at the introduction of the surah that in this surah two civilizations are mentioned. One is that of Dawood alayhi salam, Sulaiman alayhi salam, and the other is that of the people of Saba. Dawood alayhi salam, Sulaiman alayhi salam, what were they told? i'malu ala Dawood shukra. They were obedient. Look at them. Look at how they prospered. The people of Saba also were given many blessings. But we see that the problem was ingratitude. When they were ungrateful, look at what happened to them. لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ. Saba is the name of an Arab tribe. It's the name of an Arab tribe. And remember that when it comes to Arabs, when it comes to the various Arab tribes, there are three types of Arabs. One is Arabul Ariba, meaning the pure, original Arabs. Arabul Ariba, the pure, original Arabs. Secondly, there are the Arabized Arabs, meaning they're not originally Arab, but they became Arab. How? Like, for instance, the progeny of Ismail alayhi salam. Ismail alayhi salam was from where? He was the son of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was from where? Iraq. We think today, any person who speaks Arabic, whether he is from Iraq or Palestine or anywhere, he is Arab. Every person who speaks Arabic is not Arab. Later on, when the Muslim empire grew, Arabic became common everywhere. And as a result of that, the entire peninsula, the entire area, it became Arab. But initially, this was only in the area of Hijaz. That was Arab. So, the second is the Arabized Arabs, like, for example, the progeny of Ismail alayhi salam. Thirdly, you have the perishing Arabs, meaning those Arab tribes that have completely finished, perished. Like, for instance, the tribes of Ad and Samud. Who were they? They were Arabs, but they perished. Now, the people of Saba, who are they? Arabul Ariba. Original, pure Arabs. And they took their name from their ancestor, a man whose name was Saba. So Saba was who? A man. And his name was Saba ibn Yashjub bin Ya'rub bin Qahtan. And this man, he had 10 children. How many children did he have? 10. And this was before Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay? And what happened? These 10 children, they scattered over the Arabian Peninsula. And their children, their descendants, formed into tribes, and they were known as the various Arab tribes. We learn from a hadith that a man asked, O Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell me about Saba. What was it? A land or a woman? Because Saba, we think, is the name of a woman, right? So he asked, what was it? Was it a land like the name of an area, or a woman? What was it? So he said it was neither a land nor a woman. It was a man who had 10 children, 6 of whom went to Yemen. 6 of his children went where? To Yemen. And 4 of them went to Ash-Sham. 6 went to Yemen, 4 went to Ash-Sham. Those who went to Ash-Sham, they were Lakhm, Jud'am, Amila, Ghassan. And those who went to Yemen, they were Kinda, Ash'ariyun, Al-Azd, Hamir, Anmar, Madij. So basically, they were the various Arab tribes that came into existence. From the descendants of who? This man, Saba. You understand? So who was he? Who was Saba? A man. And his children, his descendants, they became various Arab tribes. Okay, so who are they? Original Arabs. And the area that they inhabited, that area was also called Saba. Because initially, remember, they were together. Then 6 went somewhere, 4 went elsewhere. Okay? So the area that they inhabited was Yemen, and it's the south of Arabia, and it's the area which is around Yemen. And this land, it was a desert. The area that they lived in was a desert. And you can imagine a desert, no water, and therefore no life. However, these people, they were very intelligent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a lot of intelligence, great ideas. So what did they do? They built a huge reservoir of water, a huge dam. And this dam was so huge that its depth was 14 meters and its breadth was 600 meters. 14 meters deep and 600 meters wide. And whenever it rained, all of the water would collect over there. So they had this huge dam, a huge reservoir of water, and because of that, their lands, they irrigated them. As a result, they had fields and fields of crop, they had gardens, orchards, and because of that, they had plenty of food. The land was good, the atmosphere was beautiful. Because of that, they had trade, they had a lot of money. So basically, they were very, very prosperous. And this is the same nation, the people of Saba, who at the time of Sulaiman a.s. became Muslim. They became Muslim at the time of Sulaiman a.s. We learn in Surah An-Naml, فَمَكَثَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ فَقَالَ أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. Okay, so it was the same people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ, certainly there was for Saba فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ, in their dwelling. Maskan is what? The place of sukna, the place of living, residence. And in their maskan, what it means by maskan is their masakin, meaning their homes. Or what it means by maskan is the land that they lived in. So for them, in the land that they lived in was an ayah, a great lesson. A great sign of what? A great lesson of what? A great sign of the power of Allah, the wisdom of Allah, the blessings of Allah. That Allah gives to whomever He wills, and He takes away from whomever He wills. He gives whenever He wants, and He takes away whenever He wants, whatever He wants. So what was the blessing that these people had been given? Jannatan, 2 gardens. An yaminin, on the right, wa shimal, and also on the left. What does it mean by this? Gardens on the right and the left. Does it mean they had only 2 gardens? 1 garden on the right, 1 garden on the left? No. Some have said that what this means is that they lived in a place where there was a reservoir and there were mountains on the right and left side of the city. So they lived in a valley. There were mountains on the right side and there were mountains on the left side. And at the foot of these mountains was what? Orchards. So when you would pass through the center of the city, you would find orchards on the right and you would find orchards on the left. Jannatan an yamin wa shimal. Some have said that what it means by Jannatan is not literally 2 gardens, but the 2 directions of right and left. That wherever a person would be in that city, he would look to the right, what would he find? Gardens. He would look to the left, what would he find? Gardens. So their entire land, how was it? Fertile. Their entire land was such that it grew a lot of produce. They had orchards, they had a lot of produce that grew over there. You know, sometimes you're traveling, you're driving on a highway, you look to the right, all you find is fields. You look to the left, all you find is fields. Right? So this is exactly how it was. Jannatan an yamin wa shimal. And they were told, Kulu mir rizqi rabbikum, eat of the provision of your Lord. Washkuru lahu, and be grateful to Him. Eat and be grateful. This shows that it wasn't just that they were given a lot of blessings, but they were also given the ability to enjoy the blessings. That you have these gardens, don't just work hard all year long and whatever produce you have, you give it to someone else because you're in debt. No. Kulu, eat of it. Because so many times what happens, people have a lot, they're farming, they're manufacturing, they're producing. But they cannot enjoy even a bit of it. They have to export everything. They have to sell everything. They have to give everything. Why? Because they are in debt. Isn't it so? Or because somebody else rules over them. And they cannot enjoy even a little of what they have produced. So many times what happens? There are farmers who are producing a lot of, let's say, cocoa. And what happens to that cocoa? Can they use it? No. They sell it so cheap, and by the time it gets to you, 10 times its price. Sometimes 50 times its price. The other day I saw a chocolate bar, so tiny, and it was about $20. Just imagine. The less ingredients it has, the more expensive it is. Quality chocolate. So, how many times it happens that people, they're producing, they're manufacturing, but can they enjoy themselves? No. It's amazing how perhaps those farmers, those children who work in such fields, in such plantations, they never get to eat chocolate. The chocolate that we enjoy, they never even taste it. Never. So what do we see? The people of Saba, they were told, you have all these gardens, kulu min rizqi rabbikum. Eat of the provision of your Lord. Washkuru lahu, and after eating, be grateful to Him. Why? Because of all of these blessings that He has bestowed upon you. And what does it mean by be grateful to Him? What does it mean by that? That with your qalb, realize this is a blessing of Allah. With your lisan, فَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Say Alhamdulillah. And when it comes to your actions, don't be disobedient to Allah, rather be obedient. Don't be arrogant, rather be humble. وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ. And why should you be grateful? Because بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ, a land that is best, وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ, and a Lord that is forgiving. This is why you should be grateful. You have so much to be grateful for. That first of all you have baldatun tayyiba. What is balda? City, country, land, where a person is living. So your land, how is it tayyiba? Tayyiba, tayyaba. Tayyib is that which is good, clean, wholesome, nutritious. Remember? Kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum. Now, when it comes to land that is tayyib, what does it mean by that? This can be understood in several ways. First of all, such land that is free of pollution. Its water is free of pollution. Its air is free of pollution. The land itself is also very good. Then the air is also very pleasant. So, their land was such that it was pollution free, very clean, clean air, clean water, clean land. And on top of that, it was very pleasant. You can imagine if they have orchards, you would also have a lot of fragrance. You would have fragrance as well. When the flowers are blooming, when it's springtime, there would be a lot of fragrance as well. And so much beauty. Baldatan tayyiba. Also, it has been said that their land was such that it was free from flies, scorpions, snakes, anything that could be harmful to the people. Because typically when people have fields or orchards, then what do they fear? What do they have? Insects. If you have ever experienced growing something in your backyard, if you have lovely flowers that smell very beautiful, lovely color, bright color, what do you see? Honeybees. And if you go towards the ground, you will find earwigs, and you will see ants, and you will find a lot of stuff. But their land was tayyiba, free of all such insects that could be harmful to the people. And tayyib is also used for that which is suitable for a person. So this land was also very suitable for them to live in. The weather was good, food was plenty, the land was fertile. Because if the weather is not good, do people want to live in that place? They don't. Every time there's winter and it's minus 20, I wonder why do people live here? Why? It's freezing cold, but people live here. Because they have made ways of making this land suitable for themselves. So, that land was also very suitable for them to live in. Weather was good, land was fertile, food was plenty, nothing was short. So, baldatun tayyiba, you have everything, And on top of that, وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ, a Lord who is forgiving in dunya and akhirah. That if you do make a mistake, you turn to Him seeking forgiveness, He will forgive you. Then why should you not be grateful? You see in this ayah, reasons are being given why you should be grateful. You have everything you need. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. And then, وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So if a people have worldly blessings, and on top of that they also have the blessing of hidayah, then they are very, very fortunate. Because when can a person get forgiveness from Allah? When he's doing shirk? Is it? When can he get forgiveness from Allah? When? When he obeys Allah, when he turns to Allah. Isn't it so? When a person has hidayah. So if a people have worldly blessings and they also have hidayah, they are fortunate people. The people of Saba were like that. They had everything they needed. But what happened? فَأَعْرَضُوا. They turned away. They weren't grateful. Rather, they were ungrateful. They didn't give thanks to Allah. They didn't believe in Him. They didn't obey Him. They disobeyed Him. So what happened? فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ. So we sent upon them. We unleashed upon them. What did we unleash upon them? سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ. The flood waters of their valley. And as a result, all of their orchards finished, destroyed. How were they destroyed? By a flood. Sail, sin ya lam, is used for a flood. We read the word asalna earlier. And al-arim, from the root letters, ayn, ra, mim. Arim is the plural of arima. You will write it the exact same way, just add a ta marbuta at the end, arima. And arima is a structure that holds water in it. Like a reservoir, a dam. And over here, al-alim, it refers to the dam at Ma'arib. This dam that they had built, what was this dam called? Ma'arib. So what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent upon them the flood of al-arim, meaning the flood of the dam that they had constructed. That dam they had constructed, why? Why? The water would collect over there, they would irrigate their lands, they would have a lot of produce. That was the basis of their entire infrastructure. Isn't it so? It was a foundation. Now that dam, what happened to it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it overflow. So He sent the flood of the dam. Because when the dam overflew, when it was filled with water, what happened? It broke the dam. And when the dam was broken, as a result, water was everywhere. You know how in certain areas where they have dams, the water can only be up till a certain point. And whenever water goes above that point, what do they have to do? Open up the dam. So that the water goes out. Because if it doesn't go out and the dam keeps on filling, what's going to happen? The dam will be broken and the water will be uncontrollable. It will turn into a flood. The whole land will be destroyed. So this dam, it broke and it turned into a flood. Sayl al-arimi. Some have said that the word arim, it means that which flows with a lot of pressure. That which flows with a lot of pressure. That cannot be controlled. There's quwwah, there's shiddah. So it was such a flood that flew with a lot of pressure. It was impossible for the people to control that water. So فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ وَبَدَّلْنَاهُمْ. And we changed for them. بِجَنَّتَيْهِمْ, with their two gardens, جَنَّتَيْن, to other gardens. Over here, بَدَّلْنَا, this tabdeel is what? That we completely altered their gardens, their orchards. The orchards to the right, to the left, that were beautiful, بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ. What happened to it? They were as though replaced by other two gardens. And these new two gardens, or how their gardens had been destroyed, what were they like now? ذَوَاتَ, two possessors. ذَوَاتَي, dual of that. They were possessors of what? They were bearing what? Ukulin, such fruit that was khamtin, bitter. Ukul, from the root letters Hamza, Kaf, Lam. Ukul is used for fruit. It's ma'kul, that which is edible, that which is supposed to be eaten. So, And khamt from the root letters kha, mim, ta. And khamt is that which is extremely bitter. It's also said that khamt is used for every thorny plant that does not grow any fruit. Or even if it does grow any fruit, can you use that fruit? Can you eat it? First of all, can you pick it? Because the plant is extremely thorny. And even when you do pick it, is it going to be sweet? No way. It's going to be very, very bitter. It's almost inedible. So there are two gardens which were beautiful, that had fruit-bearing trees. They were replaced by something completely different. What did they have now? What did they grow now? These two gardens, these lands, these orchards, they grew such plants whose fruit was extremely bitter. When you have bitter fruit, no matter how much it is, can you enjoy it? You cannot. You know, sometimes you get a cucumber and you eat it and it turns out to be bitter. Sometimes it happens, right? And which is why you have to cut a piece from the side and you have to rub it, right, onto the side so that all the bitterness comes out. If you don't do that and you have the cucumber as it is, would it be bitter? Of course it would be. And if you have the cucumber in tiny, tiny pieces mixed up in a salad, can you eat that salad? No, you can't. Because it goes extremely bitter. So, ukul khamtin. They had so much, but it was inedible, useless for them. Wa athlin. And also those gardens, what did they produce? Athlin. A thorny shrub. What does it mean by this athl? Athl is used for a shrub that is extremely thorny, and it is said this is the tamarisk tree. Tamarisk. Which is also known as salt cedar. And it's a kind of a very thorny and fruitless plant, a shrub-like tree. It has very thin branches, and its leaves are very scaly. And this shrub or this plant, it is such that it consumes a lot of water. It's known as a water hog. Why? Because all the water that's in the land, it will take everything. And because of it, other plants cannot grow. Do you understand? Because it takes all the water, it consumes a lot of water. The rest of the plants, they die. And it is such that it can also grow in saline water, salty water. It can also grow over there. Or land that has become very salty, soil that has become salty, it can even grow over there. And it is also said that because of this plant, the salinity of the soil, it increases. You may have noticed that in certain areas, if you go, the soil is white. You have this white stuff on the ground. And because of that, you cannot grow anything. You cannot even build buildings over there. Why? Because the salt content is a lot. So when this tree, it grows in a particular place, the salt content, it increases. Why? Because it's consuming all of the water. And it spreads very quickly. So what do we see? What does this plant do? It destroys other plants. Because of which, no food, no animals, no birds, no insects. And that land, it becomes useless for the people. You cannot grow anything, you cannot build anything. It becomes completely useless. And the problem with this plant is that it even survives droughts. Just imagine. Even if there is a drought, there is a famine, this plant will survive. So, what happened was that this land that was full of lovely trees and plants, it became full of athlin. And because of this athl, no other plants could grow. And does it bear any fruit? Even if it does, is it edible? No. Can you eat it? No. Can you enjoy it for anything? You cannot. You know, sometimes you have grass in your backyard, in your front yard. And if the neighbors haven't been careful about their weeds, and those weeds, they come into your backyard, into your front yard. And what happens if you don't take care of them, if you don't pull them out immediately? Will they spread? So quickly, it is as though they will replace the grass. Isn't it so? They will completely replace the grass. So this is how this tree is as well, athlin. And because of that, وَشَيْءٍ, and something, meaning very little, min sidrin, of lot tree, that is qalilin, very few. Meaning very few lot trees remained. Sidr from the root letter sin dal ra, it is lote tree and its fruit is edible, it's eaten. So imagine their orchards destroyed, replaced by aslin, and only a few lote trees remained. Only a few. And whatever fruit they produced, was that enough for the people? It was not enough for the people. So what happened? Their prosperity, it turned into utter loss, utter destruction. What was the reason? I'rad, turning away from Allah. Turning away from Allah. فَأَعْرَضُوا فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ. What's the lesson in this for us? That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us blessings, we cannot be indifferent. You understand? We cannot have an indifferent attitude towards the blessings. In the sense that we never offer gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not grateful for those blessings. Because if we're not grateful for them, you see, one is that a person is grateful, and the other is that a person is ungrateful, and the other is that a person is indifferent. He's neither grateful nor is he ungrateful. He just doesn't care. This attitude even is not right. Why? Because is it gratitude? It's not gratitude. So when a person is not grateful, whether it turns into ingratitude or it turns into indifference, what does it lead to? Loss of blessings. Loss of blessings. فَأَعْرَضُوا, they turned away from shukr, and as a result they lost all of those blessings. They refused, they denied, and as a result they were punished. And this is a huge lesson for us. That if we want our blessings to remain, we need to be actively grateful for them. Consciously grateful for them. Because the moment we take things for granted, we don't appreciate them as much. We don't use them properly. We get distracted by them. We forget our purpose of life. It leads to pride. It leads to arrogance. It leads to self-conceit. It leads to selfishness. And when a person remains grateful, he remains humble. ذَلِكَ جَزَيْنَاهُمْ, that we recompense them. Why? بِمَا كَفَرُوا, because of their kufr. And remember, kufr also means ingratitude. We gave them this recompense because they were ungrateful, or because they denied. وَهَلْ نُجَازِي إِلَّا الْكَفُورِ, and do we thus repay anyone except the ungrateful? Nujazi, Jim Zayya, meaning do we ever repay, do we ever recompense in this way any person except the one who is kafur? Meaning no. It's only the ungrateful person who is recompensed in this way. That his blessings are taken away. His blessings, they are turned into problems. Kafur, the one who is very, very ungrateful. This is a very clear statement. That who does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish in this way? Whose blessings does Allah take away and replace them with problems? Whose? The person who is ungrateful. Reflect on yourself. Think about it. Perhaps you had some blessings. You enjoyed something. Could be anything. Could be money. Could be freedom. Could be a person who's very good to you. Could be peace of mind. And now you don't have that anymore. You don't have that anymore. Do you ever experience this? You had a particular blessing and you don't have it anymore? You enjoy something and you cannot enjoy it anymore? There could be many reasons. One reason that we learn from here is ingratitude. When a person has not been grateful enough for it, then that blessing is taken away from him. It's taken away from him. And when a person is grateful, then the blessing is preserved. In fact, it increases. And remember that shukr has to be done in all respects. Qalb, lisan, and also with amal, with jawarih. Can you think of some blessings? Can you think of some example? Exactly. Like for example, the blessing of rain. Many times we're so indifferent to the weather. Raining, it's hot, it's snowing, so what? I'm inside, I don't care. Isn't it? We're so indifferent. And what happens? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not send rain for a very long time until you see the grass turning yellow. Isn't it? And you wonder, when is this hot weather going to go away? When will it be over? That you go outside, you cannot bear the heat. You cannot bear the humidity. And we all have experienced it in recent weeks. So we have to see, are we really grateful for rain? Are we really grateful for good weather? Or are we just indifferent towards it? We don't really care. فَأَعْرَضُوا. What about in personal lives? Perhaps we have some blessing and we don't really take it. We don't really appreciate it as much. Many times when a person is young, they have time, they have the energy, they don't use it to do something good. They don't use it to do something productive, to learn, to study. And what happens eventually? That time goes away.
There's two attitudes when we have blessing. Either we can be like Dawood alayhi salam and be grateful. See, Dawood alayhi salam was very thankful, and Allah increased him and gave him righteous son who was also very blessed. Or we can be like people of Saba.
That we see, one attitude is that, oh, so many people have to look after them and have to support them and feed them. And Sulaiman alayhi salam, he fed them, isn't it? That's the positive attitude towards the blessings of Allah. And the other is, what a burden. This is so difficult. This is so boring. I'm sick of it. I just want to be free. And that's a completely different attitude. It leads to a completely different end. So we see that when a person is grateful, it leads to preservation of blessings.
I was thinking it's such a blessing just to be able to come here to Al-Huda every single day and to be studying the Quran. And you'll see many people, they're so busy in their lives with work and, secular education that it's difficult to even find a little bit of time to study the Quran. And we're here from 9 to 3 studying it. And for myself, even though I can say I am very grateful, but I guess you feel more grateful at times when you think it's going to be taken away from you, whether it's because of work or you're going to have to leave for a month and miss a month of school. I think that's when it hits you more, that what a blessing it is.
Very true. And you see, when a person gets to study the Quran, when he's among certain people, this is what righteous company, isn't it? And if you look at the prophets of Allah, what did they make dua for? Righteous company. Yusuf alayhi salam, what did he say? Al-Hiqni bis-salihin. Sulaiman alayhi salam, وَأَدْخِلْنِي بِرَحْمَتِكَ فِي عِبَادِكَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Ibrahim alayhi salam, وَإِنَّهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ لَمِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. So this is a huge blessing of Allah. And many times we don't take it for granted. And I have seen people who are brought, who are requested, please study, please do this, please do that. And they don't take advantage of the opportunity, and eventually the opportunity is taken away from them. It is taken away from them. So this is a huge blessing of Allah. And if we're truly grateful for it, then we must show it by our actions. When we do our work, when we come regularly, when we do our assignments, when we hand in our assignments on time. This is what? Part of gratitude. Because this is amal. And if we don't do what we're required to do, that is what? Ingratitude. And if a person develops that attitude, eventually that blessing is completely taken away from him.
And I was just thinking that it's such a blessing that it does sadden you if you have to leave it, even for a happy occasion, whether it's a wedding in the family, and you think that, there's joyous occasion in the family and that you're happy to leave, but you're not. When you are having to leave, whether it's making more money or...
Yeah, some people are forced to leave because of some reasons. And other people, they want to leave. There's a difference, right? وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ. And we had placed between them, وَبَيْنَ الْقُرَى. And between the cities. Al-Qura, plural of Qarya, city. Which cities? الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا. Those in which we had blessed. And which land is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeatedly describes it as the one that He has blessed? The land of Palestine. So وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ. The people of Saba, who were in Yemen, and the cities of Syria, of Asham, of Palestine. The people of Saba, they would travel to Asham. Why? For the purpose of business, for the purpose of commerce. So, between these two places, between Saba and between Asham, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He had placed Al-Qura. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ وَبَيْنَ الْقُرَىٰ الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا. He had placed Quran, towns that were ظَاهِرَةً, apparent. Quran is a plural of, again, قَرْيَةً. What does it mean by Quran ظَاهِرَةً? That constantly throughout the journey, you would see many, many towns. Why? What was a blessing in that? If you could see many, many towns on the way, you would feel secure. Because imagine you're passing, you're traveling, and you don't see any person. You don't see any house, you don't see any city, you don't see any building. Don't you feel insecure? Don't you? Of course you do. But if you see buildings, if you see people, even if they are at a distance, you feel secure. Similarly, if you're traveling on a particular route and there are a lot of stopovers, you get tired, you want to use the washroom, you can stop. You want to eat, you can stop. You want to rest, you can stop. You want to stay over the night, stay over the night. But if the distance is a lot between two destinations and there's no stopovers in the middle, doesn't that make your journey even more tiring? Don't you have to take everything along with you? Just imagine if you wish to go from here to Ottawa, there were no gas stations on the way. What would you do? Could you take all of your hot tea with you? Imagine no Tim Hortons existed. What would you do? Wouldn't it be so difficult? It would be very, very difficult for you. So, Quran Zahira, these towns were placed. وَقَدَّرْنَا فِيهَا السَّيْرِ. And as a result, we had measured in it, meaning through these Qura, we had determined for them a sayr, the journey. Meaning the trip was facilitated for the travelers. How? There were so many stopovers. So many places where they could stop, they could rest, they could eat, they could sleep in the night. Siru fiha, they were told, travel in it layaliya, during the nights, plural of layl, wa ayyaman, and during the days, plural of yawm. Amineen, as ones peacefully. Why? How were they secure? Because there were towns everywhere. They were never alone. So they could travel during the night, they could travel during the day. It was so easy for them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitated their trips for them even. This was another blessing that was bestowed upon them. How were they ungrateful for it? فَقَالُوا, so they said, رَبَّنَا, O our Lord, بَاعِدْ بَيْنَ أَسْفَارِنَا. Make our journeys long. Lengthen the distance between our journeys. We have hardly left that there is another stopover. Why did they say this? Doesn't make sense? It doesn't make sense. Why did they say this? We're bored. We want some adventure. We want some thrill. We also want to show off that we have a lot of wealth. And we can carry a lot of stuff with us. And we can travel in huge caravans. And take a lot of supplies with us. But if we have to stop over, then we don't need to carry supplies with us. You understand? Then we don't need to travel in the form of huge caravans. But if there are no stopovers in the middle, then we can travel in the form of huge caravans with a lot of supplies. And when we arrive into a city, we can leave such a good impression on the people that, oh, look at us, we're so wealthy, we have so much. And when we travel as 2 or 3 individuals, then we cannot show off as much. We cannot show we have this much. So they said, ba'id. Ba'id, ba'ain dal. Bu'd is what? Distance. So ba'id, make more distance. Cause separation. Bayna asfarina, between our trips. Which trips? Through those cities. Quram Zahira. Make these trips longer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. And they wronged themselves. فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَحَادِيث. So we made them into stories. How? How? They were completely finished, and what remained of them was only stories, that people just remember them by their name, or by expressions. Like for example, Arabs, they have an expression, ذَهَبُوا أَيْدِي Saba. They followed the people of Saba in their ways. Meaning they became scattered just as the people of Saba became scattered. They turned into just stories. وَمَزَّقْنَاهُمْ. And we broke them into pieces. كُلَّ مُمَزَّقْ. Entirely. Completely disintegrated them. Where they were living in one place, the people of Saba, they had a dam, and because of that their land was irrigated. They had jannatain, they had gardens, orchards. All of that replaced by gardens that produced nothing good. Where their trade journeys were so easy. They prayed, ba'id bayna asfarina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took the blessings away from them. وَمَزَّقْنَاهُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ. Where they were living together, they were scattered up. One went here, the other went there. They were all scattered up. They couldn't stay together anymore. As I mentioned to you, the sons of Saba, how many were they? 10. And 6 went somewhere, 4 went elsewhere. They were scattered all over the Arabian Peninsula. They couldn't stay together anymore. Why? Because their home country didn't have anything. They couldn't survive over there. When it came to their trips, even they became more difficult because they asked for difficulty. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ. Indeed, in that are surely signs for who? For every person who's very patient and very grateful. What do we see over here? That these people, they failed to appreciate the blessing of easy and hassle-free journeys. It's like a person has a car and they say, I want to go on the bus. You understand? A person has a car and they say, you sit in the car, it's so boring, and you get to the destination in like 10 minutes. I want to take the bus, I want to take the train, and then, change the buses, and I also want to travel for longer. It takes me only 10 minutes, I'd rather go and take a trip for half an hour, 45 minutes. This is when a person fails to appreciate the blessing that Allah has given. This is when a person becomes bored of the blessings. He's bored of it. He wants adventure. He wants challenge. Now can you think of this in practical life? What happens? What do people do? Like for example, a person is living in a city, their relatives are close by. And when people are living in the same city as their relatives, and there are a lot of events, a lot of social gatherings, a lot of requests from relatives, help me move, help me do this, help me do that. What do young people think? Let's move from here. Let's move from here. So let's move from here, let's go to another country, another city where nobody knows us. And when they go there, then what happens? They see all the difficulties of life. When they're tired, exhausted, they're sick, they want somebody to help them, they find nobody. Why? They chose to go away from their relatives. Isn't it so? Similarly, we see that a person thinks, if only I could travel all by myself. I always travel with my family. I want to travel alone. And what happens when they travel alone? They have to carry all the bags themselves. When they have to go to the washroom, they can't say to anybody, can you please keep the stuff, let me go to the washroom. Similarly, this is like a woman says, if only my husband allowed me to work. He says, okay, fine, go work, but you also have to cook and clean. So the woman takes double burden on herself. Similarly, a person says, if only I could have a bigger house. Okay, you're not content with your small house, you have a bigger house, clean more. So, what's the problem over here? They were not content with the blessings that Allah had given them. They were not content. Gratitude is what? Contentment. Gratitude does not mean that you don't desire more or you don't desire for better. No. Gratitude is that you're content with whatever Allah has given you. You look at what you have and not what you don't have. You see, every single blessing, what does it come with? Difficulties, trials. Where you have relatives, where you enjoy because of them, you'll also face a lot of challenges because of them. What is gratitude? Don't focus on the problems. Look at the positive side. That you have the opportunity to do Silatul Rahim. Isn't it so? And a person who's living far away from their relatives, do they have that same opportunity? They don't. So, gratitude is being content with the blessing, looking at the positive side, not the negative side. Because no blessing in this dunya can be problem-free. Where is a problem-free world? That's only Jannah. Every blessing you have in this dunya will bring problems for you. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says over here that in this is a sign for who? Sabbar, one who is very patient. Patient over what? The problems that he faces when dealing with people. The difficulties that he experiences that come along with the blessings. And shakur, one who is positive, one who is grateful for the blessings. He will learn a lesson. Everybody will not learn a lesson. Only sabbar and shakur. Recitation of these ayat.